Okay, we're live. Boys, how are you doing? So, BTC, are we cooked? Are we cooked because we never got the top wick formed from last week? Now, if you're in longs right now, just remember there's always bigger losses out there. There's always guys with way bigger losses out there. This guy right here, down, Garrett Jin, down $121 million over the week. $121 million. That is insane. Down 9 figures. I wouldn't be able to sleep if that had happened to me. It's a lot of commitment, and recently he's adding more collateral to his long so he doesn't get liquidated. The commitment is there. Now we have major volatility ahead. A lot of news coming up that could potentially affect Bitcoin. Okay, now we're not surprised. Good news, bad news, it doesn't matter. Bitcoin would dump, right? But we have one last chance. Because I know for a fact, right, if there's no top wick, we'll have to at least come back there. Every time the market has had no top wick, the last time it was back in 2021, I think, where there's no top wick. Right here. And eventually it would come to fill that area. Then during at that time it would go back down. But the retest is what we want to see. Because I'm not gonna lie, last Monday was really shocking. It was super bullish 2 weeks ago. We had BTC going up to 98k, nearly 98k, closed at 93k. This is really good. Very bullish at that time because you also had a close above this key level right here, this bullish to bearish key level right here. But then the next week is like, wow, full of surprises. I thought I had seen it all, but nope. The market was like, hey, let's go the opposite way. Super annoying. So let's discuss if we're really cooked, because so far we are not cooked. Not cooked still, right? We don't have the weekly close below 78k. So we're still all right. We're still in higher low territory in the macro time frame. But we don't really concern ourselves with a macro time frame since we're trading, right? We want to have a sustained movement to the upside for BTC. So let's talk about that. If you guys are live, say hello. Okay, so I'll just get right to it. In terms of price action wise, we are, or at least exchange data, derivatives data, spot data, we're kind of cooked. Because last week was insanely bearish. No top wick, closed with a very small bottom wick. I think bulls here are completely invalidated. Even price, just looking at price action, you also got that close below this bearish to bullish right here, just a little bit, just a tiny bit. I think any bounce now would just to create the top wick for the weekly candle, then continue down. That's not what I really want to see. Base case, what we're going for is we just keep ranging between 85k to 93k. But a lot of events have been unfolding in the derivatives and spot as well. We're seeing price dropping, but we're seeing open interest rising, but also spot cumulative volume delta and futures cumulative volume delta are bearish. Traditionally, this is the 4 horsemen of the bearish apocalypse. You have all of them together, the market is saying one thing: they're bearish. But we got some copium here, okay? First and foremost, government shutdown. The odds have jumped up to 78% on Polymarket. In case you didn't know, it's plausible. It's very possible now that the U.S. government will have another government shutdown, and it could be by January 31st. Events have unfolded, and remember, the last time we had a government shutdown was in late September. And the first week of that government shutdown, we saw BTC went from 111k. Let me see. Right here, from 111k to 126k. Can we see that? Maybe, right? Maybe. But one thing's for sure, if we want to continue to become bullish, this week is really the last chance. Like, it's the last chance. This better be, we better close above 93K, engulfing this bearish candle. That's the only saving grace that we have right now for bulls, is if this week we close above and engulf that candle. That's the only way to save it. Like, that's the only way the bulls can have a chance for a sustained move up above 100K. Otherwise, if we don't, then the base case we're really hoping for bulls here is just keep the range between 85 to 93K. And I think there's a reason why we're stuck here. All right, there's no denying that the market right now is being manipulated through derivatives. Let me see. Right here, okay. So now that options open interest has overtaken futures for the first time in history, right? There's a lot of weight to options players. And this is known as the gamma trap. So we're currently stuck between 85 to 93K. It's clear that there's a ceiling between 90 to 93K. Dealers are long gamma. They're mechanically suppressing volatility. Expect price to grind up and stall. 93K is the take profit magnet. But all right, if we couple, maybe let's say history repeats itself. What if we get another government shutdown, and the price action would move like the first government shutdown we had last September? Then price action wise, I'm hoping to see this weekly candle. So because here, okay, January 31st, we're not far off. This is, I think, Friday, right? Friday. Let me see. Saturday, okay, just before this Saturday. Shit. All right, if there's gonna be a government shutdown, then it better move like the government shutdown in September and October last year, and just pump up from there. Engulf last week's bearish candle. All right, and if we do get that engulf and BTC continues to grind upwards, then this can be in play. The squeeze to 113K. Massive short gamma exposure lies dormant here. If the 93K wall fails, the dealer cover bids send us parabolic. Remember, even all the way back from October, there was a massive open interest between 110 to 115K. Most of them were on the put side. And if price ever comes back towards there, market makers would be forced to close their position and buy back BTC if that were to happen. Okay, so that would be the copium for us bulls. But right now, honestly, it's kind of cooked, man. Last week's performance, it only took 1 week for my bullish thesis to be invalidated, which is crazy, by the way, which is crazy. We had the bullish close above the open close here, but then the following week we don't even have a top wick. We nuked down all the way to the support level. This is full of surprises, this market. Jeff Sparrow, what happened to the market? Looked like altcoin no more hope. Bro, let's not even focus on altcoin right now. We gotta focus on BTC. We gotta focus on BTC, because if BTC don't get back up there, then altcoins are certainly cooked, bro. BTC needs to go, and then ETH needs to go for alts to even have a chance of coming back. But as we've seen already for the past year, a lot of these altcoin projects, they are still paying cost to upkeep their operation. And if they're not making enough revenue from their project, they have to fund it somewhere for either borrowing money or selling their own token from the treasury, right? And seeing as a lot of these existing projects didn't announce any funding rounds or their cash balance going up, it's very likely they've been selling tokens. And plus, you also have further sell pressure from VCs that have invested in earlier rounds. Polychain, right? Polychain Capital, they're still up from their TIA. Big, still 40x, 50x up from their TIA bag. And so there's no problem for them to sell their TIA, right? So kind of cool. I'm setting up Claude Bot today. Hey, I've been seeing Note commenting on API. So I know you've been building. That's big, man. That, see if we can use that too. So here we go. TLDR again. One last copium for the bulls is if we get this week to engulf the previous week's candle, we're good. The fuel for that would be if there's going to be a second government shutdown and we move exactly the same as last September and October government shutdown when BTC went from 111K to 125K, 126K, right? It took a week for BTC to get from there to there. If we can see the same thing happening, then yeah, right? Because that move could potentially spark the squeeze for the massive short gamma exposure. Okay, that's only if we continue staying up 93K. But last week it's shown us that it's a big sell wall between 90 to 93K. Okay, now let's talk about the case of the bears. I think there's a lot of volatility lying ahead that you should be paying attention to. First and foremost is Japan. Okay, so for USD JPY, I think the Forex intervention is already in play. Look at this. Crazy. Last Friday, we went from a high of 159 for USD JPY, closed at 155. Today, market open for USD JPY, gap down, open 154, create the top wick, now at 154. And I think a continuation of this to the downside is likely. Also, we're seeing yen. The value of yen is now climbing back up. And I think this is a much bigger move compared to the previous gap up here. This was a very bullish close last Friday for the yen futures. Today gapped up and still in the green. Can this be sustained going on? Very likely, because I think the Japan, they're not commenting. So Japan's finance minister Satsuki Katayama said the government is closely monitoring the foreign exchange market with a sense of urgency. They marked it the first written U.S. confirmation of the right to intervene in the event of excessive volatility. We've been talking about this for the past 2 weeks now, right? The U.S. government gave Japan the green light to intervene in USD JPY, which is contradicting because Trump said in his opening statement he's not in for Forex manipulation, but gone ahead and say, hey, never mind, go ahead, do it, right? And I think this will continue to unwind, right? Because they declined to comment on Friday's reported rate checks that led to the yen suddenly jumping. There is nothing I can talk about. That's what Katayama said. All right. And this can have some ripple effect throughout US equities and maybe through Japan. Maybe US equities also spilling over to crypto if the thesis of the carry trade unwinding involves borrowed yen to purchase BTC, right? We see Michael Burry here tweeted about the Japan story, right? With the bond yields climbing up as volatility picks up. And now with the U.S. intervening, now with the U.S. giving the green light to Japan to intervene in the Forex market, this could have that unwind effect. So capital flows here summarize it very perfectly. Since so much of the valuation expansion in the Nikkei has been driven by bill issuance and fiscal spending, so we know that the Japanese stock market has been pumping not from native or not from Japan itself. Most of them are actually from foreign funds. We've seen that. Top in Japanese equities will likely occur when peak fiscal spending and bill issuance are priced to perfection. And if this takes place, okay, not once, but if, right? That's assuming if the unwind is in fact mostly from, US side, then the unwind will reverberate across all cross collateralized sectors in the US. And this could include for Bitcoin ETFs. Okay, so maybe there's our first story that if this is in play, the unwind will happen, will roll out. If it will roll out, then we might expect further sell-offs for BTC. Okay, so that's for number one. And for number two would be, where is it? This one. Now, this one already had happened, okay? So we know that last week, Trump threatened a big. Trump put out a huge tariff threat against Greenland. Then the next day after the weekend, we saw the CME futures for Bitcoin slumped really hard. Right? Here. Here. Friday, Tuesday. Damn. Yeah, Monday was holiday at that time, but let's see. Right? The Monday. Okay, here. CME futures opened here, and it was believed to be the market's reaction to Trump's tariff threats against Greenland. And now that it has resolved last week after the World Economic Forum, right? He posted in the Truth Social platform saying, okay, they're going to back off on the tariff against Greenland. But now suddenly, and I remember this because on Saturday I was out with my friends, and my friend said, hey, did you hear about Trump again? He's starting beef again. He's starting beef again, this time against Canada. And I'm like, oh my God, are you serious? Does that mean we're going to see another CME futures dump this morning? Well, luckily we did not. Okay? Luckily we did not for BTC. It did not happen for like this sort of move did not happen this morning. This morning we've just been ranging. It's just a bounce, but it's not an impressive bounce. Well, it's bounced from the weekly level of 86K, but still, it's not impressive anymore. I feel like any bounce from here is just a dead cat bounce. But let's see how this plays out for the Canada situation. I feel like a lot of the people in the market are like, they're calling out on Trump's bullshit. I feel like it's just a way for him to bluff, you know? The Greenland one worked effectively because that was the first time in a long time since April 2025 that Trump had threatened with a big tariff threat. But I think the second time he's doing it again, I feel like a lot of the market says, we're calling him bluff. He's not gonna follow up on that. You know what I mean? So kind of muted response for Asia session after this news occurred in the weekend. So all right there. But I think the underlying factor here is the third point, which is this. Okay. So it appears, and I'll show you. So Bloomberg made a post about this on January 6th. Bond trader places biggest ever Fed funds bet in futures market. Here's what's going on. The notional value is nearly $1 trillion. Right? It went down and almost no one's talking about it. Someone dumped 200,000 Fed funds futures contract in a single clip. That's twice the previous record. And why it matters is because the Fed funds futures are Wall Street's way of betting what the Feds is going to do with the interest rates. If you're buying the futures, you're betting that the rates will go down. But if you sell them, you're betting the Fed won't cut rates or it might even hike them up. So this person didn't just sell a few, they sold enough contracts to equal $1 trillion in notional value. And the wildest part, they're risking $8 million for every 0.01% move. That's a lot of money, right, in interest rates. So either this trader thinks that the Fed is bluffing about cuts, or they have some crazy intel that the rest of us don't. The contracts were sold at a price implying a 3.635% rate, exactly where the Fed has been holding. This means that the trade only makes money if nothing changes and any surprise cut. We have the upcoming FOMC meeting in less than 3 days now, okay? And the rates of no cut, or the probability of no cut, okay, holding the rates the same, is at 97.2%. Trump is pressuring the Feds to cut. But I think a lot of people in the market believe that they're not. They're not. Powell is still going to do his own thing. He's going to stick to the playbook and just cut if necessary. But this shows commitment, dude. Like, you have a guy that is risking $8 million for every 0.01% move. So you times 8 mil times at least 25. He's risking 200 mil for the full move. That's almost as nearly as much as Garrett. Currently down right now for Garrett. 127, 121 mil. Crazy. But yeah, I mean, if you're betting with that much size that the Feds are not gonna cut, then it's already priced in. The market's already priced in. So good news is, I think, at least from the narrative of Fed's cutting rate, I think that's already priced in. But so it's only up from there, I guess. So if we were to get a surprise cut, then the market for BTC might climb. And this guy would be in big trouble. He would lose 200 mil if the Feds cut rates, right? But the size of that trade tells me like he knows something. You know, I think they're not gonna cut rates. And macro-wise, I mean, I've said it before. I think rate cut is the only macro narrative that would influence Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin's not moving like gold. It's not moving like silver. It's not moving like tech stocks. On some days, the Nasdaq pump, Bitcoin didn't move at all. So Bitcoin is its own market. It's moving like its own market. There's no higher correlation right now with any other markets. And it also goes to show me, after January, I think it's even more prevalent that these price suppressions due to the options player selling. Okay, they want to keep this range. So it's not all doom and gloom for BTC. Okay, still sort of a higher high, higher low here. If we break below and close below, then that's when we're really in trouble. Okay, if we close below 78, 76K weekly, big trouble for sure. But this is the bottom. This better be it. But it's a tough fight because last week was insanely bearish. No top wick, big ass body. So any pumps now is just to fill that top wick, then a continuation down. But base case, I'm still hoping it just ranges inside here. Okay? Alright. Yo, broski, Shorty Yang. Jeff Sparrow says we need Gary Gensler. Shit, you know the market is cooked if we need Gary Gensler. Okay, so in terms of the current trade that I'm in currently, I'm shorting River. Oh my god, it's gone up. On BingX, oh my god, so close to stopping me up here. But this is a scam pump, bro. Eventually, this token will go down. It's just a matter of timing right now. I gave myself ample room, putting my stop loss at 86.2. Funding rates are negative right now, highly negative. So I think the last of the squeeze should be here, but this would be my invalidation, 86 for River. Targeting 16. I think a lot of people that were in longs, I think, let's see, Honey XBT tweeted about it. No. River. There's a crypto bull here saying dying soon. It's just a matter of when. We're trying to time the top here. My trigger for entering the short was just the 4-hour candle. Here. Bullish to bearish. Long wick. But the next 4-hour candle closed against my favor. So we're really on a tightrope here for River. So if we get stopped out here, we'll wait for another bearish top wick and then enter off of it again, because I know this is a scam pump for River. And take profits for the longs should be soon here. Oh yeah, Honey, they're liquidating massive shorts before the nuke it to 0. Watching the massive red candle. It's like the Co-AI short that we had last year where Martin caught it at 19. This one. Yeah, a lot of the longs are profitable. with unrealized P&L of 33 mil as of this morning. I think eventually they'll have to take profit. We're only wrecked if they keep adding on to their winners, but eventually I believe it should come down. So, all right, boys, we're gonna end the stream here. Take good care of yourselves. We have a massive event unfolding for the macro side, and yeah, for BTC. See how it goes. Really want to see that engulfing candle this week. And it's the only play. It's the only play. Is funding rate negative? Yes, it's negative on all exchanges and perp decks, but BingX has the lowest funding rate, negative. So that's why I'm in short for River on BingX. So give it a shot if you want. Take good care of yourselves, okay? Last play we have is this week. We have that engulfing candle. If we don't, then we're stuck here for a while. All right, boys, smash up the like button, subscribe to the channel. My name is Ron. Shana now.